Chinese Premier Li Keqiang has arrived in the German capital Berlin for an official visit. Li is scheduled to meet with the Chancellor Angela Merkel for their annual talks and exchange views on economic and trade issues. Experts say Li's visit will boost cooperation between China and Europe and promote the concepts of globalization, free trade and open markets. Germany is China's largest trading partner in the European Union, despite sluggish global economic growth and a rise in protectionism. After Germany, Li will also pay an official visit to Belgium, where he will attend the 19th China-EU leaders' meeting. Well, let's cross live now to our correspondent Guy Henderson, who is in Berlin for us. Hello to you, Guy. So, Premier Li in Berlin, meeting the Chancellor and the Premier, a mechanism that's been in place for a long time now, since 2004. What are some of the key topics that are on the table, do you think?
Well, yes, and over that period, of course, Chinese-German bilateral relations have continued to develop. You know, initially it was very much an economic relationship, and I think that still probably is the dominant theme of talks and will be here. But there are cabinet ministers here from both sides as well who'll be meeting face to face. You might hear in the background now some drums playing. That is just a small group of Chinese expats who we've just been filming with and speaking to. They've turned out in support. You'll probably see now some pictures of the official greeting underway. It's 5:30 p.m. local time here. The substantial discussions won't start until Thursday morning at around 9:30, a bilateral meeting in which, as you'd mentioned, the main overarching theme really of this conversation and the discussions here, really speaking out, sending a strong joint message, Germany and China together, in terms of holding up the global system of free trade and multilateralism. This, of course, is a time when particularly voices in the United States and the administration of Donald Trump are calling for a more protectionist approach, which you know, both of these countries as trading nations, as the biggest economies in their respective regions, are very much against and fear would do significant damage to their economies. So tomorrow morning a bilateral discussion. Following that we'll have a press conference where we'll, journalists will have their first chance to ask for more details about what the substance of those discussions are. After that, there will be a big event which really encapsulates some of the themes that will be discussed here. Innovate Together is the overarching theme of that business event, with German and Chinese CEOs, cabinet members from both countries. Innovate Together is actually a program which has been running since 2015. It is a program which has basically got together experts, engineers, leaders of industry and technology from both China and Germany, and got them working on developing new ideas and technology together. Now, of course, there is this German concern, and concerns expressed in other parts of the world, in Europe as well, that there is a technology drain, if you like. A lot of Chinese investment coming into European countries and taking over that technology and taking it back to China to use in its domestic market. This will be a showcase of both countries saying that is not the case. You often hear this phrase win-win. This will be a showcase of that, developing together those kind of technologies. In the afternoon, Premier Li will then head for a meeting with the former German Foreign Minister, now the German President, Frank-Walter Steinmeier, for perhaps a more political discussion. Steinmeier, in theory, now in a ceremonial role, but someone who holds quite a lot of weight on the international stage, given his previous role as Foreign Minister, and someone who brokered some of the key international deals as Foreign Minister, including the nuclear deal with Iran, including, of course, the international deal, UN deal on climate change. That, we think, is going to be another discussion which has been thrust into the global news agenda in the last few hours and is bound to elicit a fairly strong reaction here during talks. This, of course, after news in the US media citing a White House official that US President Donald Trump is likely to pull the United States out of the UN climate deal. That would mean that the US is one of only 3 countries in the entire world not to be part of that deal: the United States, Syria and Nicaragua. Germany and China, of course, two leading lights in terms of the drive towards renewable energy. Germany, for several years now, really seen as one of the founding countries in terms of driving the world towards a more green economy. China now, a country that that houses a third of the world's entire wind generation capacity, a quarter of its solar capacity. These are countries that are very much at the forefront together of driving the green economy and a sort of green revolution, and they will no doubt be keen to stress in the strongest terms, in strong terms, together during that press conference, perhaps during the speech at this Innovate Together ceremony as well, this event taking place on Thursday, that in their view this climate deal is irreversible now, and that, you know, whatever the United States decides, that China and Germany, the rest of the world, will push ahead without them. We have heard, in fact, just in the last few hours as well, the Financial Times has seen a leaked copy of a joint communique which will be released later in the week when Premier Li travels to Brussels for an EU summit. A joint communique between China and the EU talking about how these two regions, how China and the EU will try to keep that climate Paris Accord alive through a joint effort, essentially to bring about joint funding for various initiatives in various parts of the world and countries that had agreed to the Paris Climate Agreement, but many of those agreements were contingent upon funding which, if the US pulls out as expected, might not actually kick in. So we expect a joint statement there, which Germany no doubt will have been a driving force behind as well, to try and keep that climate deal alive, regardless of what the United States decides in the coming hours or days.